Hello and welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. I'm Anna Leeds.
And I'm Russell Leeds, and today we've got a special guest, Patricia Kilty, on the show. How you doing, Patricia?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
I am so excited to have Patricia on. I've been waiting to get Patricia on.
Patricia is specifically Patricia.
Yes.
She's the most exciting guest of all time.
Because I know about her SA party houses and I'm so intrigued because we don't have the big party houses. I've been waiting to get her on to talk about it.
Yeah, so most of our service accommodations are like much smaller, you know, 1-2 bedroom. Patricia's like, why would you have a 2-bed when you can have a 14-bed? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? However, obviously we're going to talk about some of your party houses. I actually saw, and I know this has happened to you, I saw an article the other day. There's a property in Oxfordshire, right? And it's a very interesting looking property because it has got like a 20-foot shark sticking out of the roof. Mm-hmm. Right, so it looks, I'll show a picture, it looks really weird. But what sort of caught my eye about the article was not the shark. It was the fact that they were renting it out as serviced accommodation. And the council turned around and just were like, do you know that house that you're renting out? Yeah, we don't want you to do that anymore. We're going to stop you from doing that. And this happened to you as well, didn't it? The council just took, and you owned the property, right?
Yes.
It wasn't a rent to rent. You bought a property, you own it, and they were like, no, you can't rent that out anymore.
Yeah, that's what happened. And so now it's empty. No revenue. So I had been running it for 4 years, purchased it, invited the whole village in for a barbecue, come see this house. And because it was one of the oldest houses and one of the biggest houses, a lot of the village people had lots of stories. Like, I used to come and play here. And so it seemed like it was going to be well received. But then as it opened up, I had all of these guests come in. It was right after COVID. So that lockdown had lifted and everybody was gathering their families and having their big family celebrations in this 6-bed house. 4 bathrooms, hot tub, it's just a beautiful space. Actually, Samuel and Amanda and the kids came. They were my first guest.
Ah, amazing.
So I thought, oh, this is brilliant. Everything's running smoothly. But then I think with this very small village, right, it just disrupted them. They didn't like it. They didn't like the fire pit outside, the hot tub outside. They didn't like the amount of noise, the cars on the road, and coming and going and new people every time. And so they wrote letter after letter after letter to the council. Wow. And 4 years later, it's shut down.
Oh, wow.
So how long has this been going on for, this process?
The process, so probably about 3 years. Right off the bat, they sent us a formal letter saying, we don't like this house, and this is a list of things that have happened in the last few months. So we reviewed it, we sat down with them, we had a cup of tea, and we addressed everything, and we said, okay, we're gonna make some changes, which we did. But it wasn't enough.
Oh, so you even tried to adapt to what they would like?
Yes.
Even had a cup of tea with them? Because that is the British answer to any problem.
I introduced Patricia to a cup of tea.
Yes. That's right.
She had never had a cup of tea.
Not
so she's
a
obviously
real
taken that
cup of
on
tea.
to try and use it as a...
But even that didn't do the trick.
No, it didn't. And, I come from over 20 years of customer service experience working in the car dealership. So I know how to communicate with people. I know how to have empathy and to, meet them halfway and sort of explain a little bit of what's happening on my side. So it kind of opens up their eyes as well. But no, my hands were a little bit tied with how much of that PR I could do with the village. And so they ended up starting to harass our guests. We actually hired a lawyer somebody that Samuel had referred us to send them a letter saying you can't do this and you can't communicate with our guests anymore. So then they had many of their parish council meetings and discussed our property for years, and they got it shut down. They sent dozens of letters to the council, and I think it's the Lake District, right? It's small village culture, and they do have a voice, and the council, and it's also who you know, right?
Yeah, yes.
So these people knew some people, and I didn't know anybody. I'm here from Canada, so it's shut down now.
I don't know the village, but I'm imagining the Vicar of Dibley.
Yes, no, that's what I had in my head as well. Then
style parish meetings.
Yes.
Wow, that is it's interesting though, isn't it? Because you think, I suppose it shows the importance. Let's have a look at some of the lessons actually from it, right? Because, obviously you've learned a lot. The first thing I would say is it shows the importance of having a good exit strategy or a good plan B.
Yes.
Because if you're like, oh, this works for service accommodation and only service accommodation, and then this happens, what is there a reason why you're not just renting it out as a buy-to-let, or what's the plan?
I can. I do need to sell it, so it's either rent it out, buy to let, get a short-term 6-month in there until it sells. There's a lot of different other factors involved with selling that property. So we'll see. I called the mortgage company, who've been great, and asked them, what if I turn into an HMO or social housing? And they said no. So that's not... But just for all the viewers...
so you could really get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to turn it into HMOs, it'll be even worse. Or even better, why don't you rehome prisoners there or something?
Yeah.
Be like a charity.
They're required, right? We need emergency accommodations for some people. And so that is actually an option. And I could find a lender who says yes, and I could do that, right? So, and then the whole party will start again.
Yes.
They've got another 3 years to kick you out.
Yeah. But I was actually thinking about moving in. I'm not paying for it anyways.
Yeah.
Right? I thought maybe I'll move in, get a couple roommate women. We're just going to have cheesecake and party in the hot tub, right?
You could move in and be more annoying than the guests. You could have that could be your
lesson.
goal. You could go, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move into the house. I'm going to be so annoying. So annoying that they're begging me to rent it out as service accommodation. You could be like, right, every night we're going to drink champagne in the hot tub till 12. We're going to, that's I think that would be quite a good strategy.
Yes, except I could not do that to other people.
Not even these people?
No.
That have stripped your SA from you?
I felt that even that they were not happy with
No, it's not nice,
right?
is it?
Do you think they didn't like it because it was a big house? If it had been just a 2-bed SA that just had a little family come and visit, or do you think they would have had a problem with the coming and going regardless of who it was?
Yeah, no, the coming and going was very problematic. All of the cars on the road, because it's a fast road, even though it's a quiet town. Okay. It's a fast main road from one major town to another. And so they need to inch out. And if there's 5 cars there, they can't see. So it is actually quite dangerous.
Okay.
And I would, heaven forbid something happened because those cars were there, right?
Yeah.
But
that's
the loud
a traffic
noise.
law though, right? That should be, well, if you don't want cars parking there, you put some double yellow lines down.
Yeah.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Right. So we weren't doing anything illegal.
Yeah, no.
It just was disrupting the village, and they had a loud enough voind to shut it down. So
It's an interesting one for properties in those kind of locations, like the ones we've got are more city centre, aren't they? And you always think actually the ones further out are more appealing for SA because it's like, oh, everyone goes on holiday to the little villages. But these are probably some of the problems you then come across, that actually no one in a city centre cares they're coming and going because it's busy city centre, while actually out in the countryside, people have moved to live there to be quiet, are more likely to have a problem.
Do you know what though? I know what you mean, but you would also think that there'd be certain areas, like Peak District, for example, right? It's not a million miles from the Lake District.
Yeah, and it is holiday.
And nearly everywhere's a holiday let in Peak District, and it's just they just accept it. If you go to the village, my mom and Tim used to live in, it's like half the properties there
they were.
are renting out. Yeah. It's just it is what it is. I would have thought, obviously incorrectly, that the Lake District was similar. It's like a holiday vibe, but no.
No, you're absolutely right. It is total holiday vibe, but you have to be in the right town, like Windermere, Bowness, right? Kendall. And so this tiny little town had little 2-bedroom cottages that were really quiet. And then this was a 6-bed, biggest house in the village. The backyard touched 8 other backyards. So...
Just
one of those things.
So worth bearing in mind, I suppose, a couple of things then. Like we mentioned, exit strategy. You're going to buy a property, make sure that you've got a good exit strategy.
Yep.
Number 2, it sounds like you did do a decent job of this in the beginning, but making friends with the neighbours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So one of our ones, the neighbours put the bins out for us.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they message me and they're like, oh yeah, we put the bins out for you, because they are cool with what we're doing, but you want that, don't you?
Yeah.
So how do you make sure? We didn't do the barbecue thing though.
No, we didn't. I feel like that's actually quite a good really good idea, isn't it, to get everyone on side? And
Yeah. So what? Could you have done anything differently, or is it just unlucky? Is it just the wrong house, wrong time, wrong place?
I think if I looked more at who was going in, so if I really made an effort to make sure that there were no parties, which would be people of the same age, as opposed to families with children and elderly. Although even with the children, like they'd be playing in the backyard on a Saturday afternoon, and I'd still get a complaint. And the neighbors used to keep the footballs. If it goes over the fence, they'd be like, "It's ours now," to children. So yeah. Anyways, I'm not sure about that.
We have that here though. So
Yeah.
not on our road. So obviously you come into our road. Everyone on our estate's really nice, aren't
Yes, they are.
But the road sort of opposite their back garden backs onto our back garden.
Okay.
And the woman, we got warned about her by our neighbours opposite, because they've got their youngest is like 14 now, but they've lived here for years, so they went through that stage. And she apparently is really horrible, and she has been shouting over it to our kids.
If ours are playing out, we've got like a little playground area, and literally they're just, squeals of joy, like they're just pushing each other. She shouts over the fence.
No.
Shut up. Like, she just doesn't tolerate anything. If you're noisy in any kind of way, she screams over the fence at you. And ours don't play
so scary
football
for the girls.
Yeah, they're just like.
Our neighbours told us that she threatened to throw dog poo at them.
Yeah.
Oh my
Their
gosh.
kids.
Yeah.
That can't even be legal.
Yeah, so she definitely would be one to hold the ball if you accidentally threw it over.
Oh,
Ours
yeah.
don't play football, so that doesn't happen. But she'd be pop it and probably throw it back.
But my point is, service accommodation or not, right? Most people that buy a 6-bed house probably going to have kids.
Yeah.
Right, unless it's like, why would if someone didn't have kids buy a 6-bed house? Probably wouldn't. You probably mark it's going to be kids. They're probably going to play in the back garden. So kind of whoever lived there, that's probably going to happen, isn't it?
Well, I think that, historically, I remember when we purchased this property that the neighbors said that this house had, I don't know how many, a lot of abnormally more children than normal in that household. And also the record for the largest baby ever being born was from that house. Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, children are not a rare thing in this house.
Yeah.
But
that seems very odd to me. But that's okay. So
it's mad that they've got that much power, isn't it?
What are your thoughts now? Someone that's had different party houses. I've always shied away from party houses, and I've always gone for sort of 4 guest max to avoid I suppose peeing off the neighbours is one thing, but also trashing the house.
Yeah.
I've just wanted to know how. Does that happen all the time? Like in my head, I think every guest, every party, house trashed. But is it not the case? Is it only... I know they'll probably leave a mess, but is it very rare that they actually damage the house? Or is that... Yeah, they do every time, and there's lights off the walls. Like, I don't know what kind of parties I'm picturing.
Minimum night stay would probably help, wouldn't it? If you did like a 7-night minimum stay, for example.
So people would probably not book it for a 7-night minimum stay for a party, but 3-night minimum stay, that's a weekend, right?
Yeah.
And the house doesn't get damaged. It's just a lot of stuff everywhere that needs to get cleaned up, right? But you're doing
really
it anyways.
Not tidy, though?
To be honest, most people are tidy. Most people are. It just, ironically, right now, I just had a complaint from my cleaner as I was driving down here from the lakes, and he said that the guests were still there. There were more than 14 people. They were all young. They were still partying, music pumping at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Monday.
That's a party.
Wow. Still going on a Monday morning.
Wow.
That is impressive.
But that's part of the fee, right? So you have to charge accordingly. You have to know that that's going to happen. If somebody vomits in the corner, you've got cleaners there to take care of it. Everything, all the linens get cleaned anyways. And some furniture just might need to be, readjusted back to normal, but it just gets reset for the next person as if nothing happened. And it is worth it if you get the occupancy in there. The rate needs to be high enough to dictate for those unexpected extra costs.
And I do think people, because I've been on some where we've hired big houses for parties, people are prepared to pay that extra money, knowing that you have to cover the costs of leaving a bit of rubbish around, something you might spill red wine on the carpet, and you all do pay a premium, knowing that there's likely someone's going to do something. So,
the red wine thing, is the white wine thing true?
What white?
So apparently,
have you not heard of that?
Have you not heard of this?
No,
Apparently, if
tell
you
me.
spill red wine on a carpet,
Yeah.
the way to get it out is white wine.
No, that can't be right. We'll have to test that out next time we spill red wine.
Because I've heard that too. I mean...
Or, do you know what? I'm tempted. Next time we replace a carpet, I'm going to be like, before we take it away, or if you get an off-cut, try it, bit of red.
Bit of white.
But Michael McIntyre talks about it. He's like, how drunk was the person that tried it?
Yeah.
Red wine. Oh. What, white wine? Do you know what I mean? But apparently it works.
So...
I think if you hit it fast enough, it could work. Yeah.
To get...
Yeah.
Even,
because it'll like dilute the red. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. We should test it out. You should do that in your next podcast.
Yeah.
All of these myths, essay myths, how to
clean them. So it sounds like it hasn't put you off doing party houses.
No, right now I'm taking a break from essays, but I can definitely picture myself. I mean, if I find something close enough, that's unique, like the shark coming out of like something that will draw attention. If I've got the right team in place and I've got that kind of inclination, I might just go back into party houses. And I might specialize in party houses instead of family houses, because and you'll see these listings in Liverpool and Manchester, and they've got these big, lofts and these twin beds in all of the bedrooms, so you can sleep as many adults as possible, and you party proof it, so you don't have anything like, you don't have cream carpeting or anything like that. You charge a premium, and you let them party their faces off, and then clean up next. Like, again, what's the worst that's going to happen?
And I have seen one of your party houses, and you put like pool tables in them and games machines, and they are really kitted out for really good party houses. And I do think there's a real gap in the market, because when you're looking for places, like people who just do slightly big essays, but they're not actually meant to be party houses, they can get very funny if you try and book them. So I've had where I've booked for like 8 girls to go away for the weekend, and the minute they've kind of cottoned on, they cancel the booking, and they're like, no, this isn't a party house.
Yeah.
And I do think it's actually quite hard to find the ones that are actually kitted out for, this is a party house, come
Enjoy.
and have a party, enjoy.
And then you have like the Instagrammable wall with all the neon signs, and then all the girls are having fun with their cocktails, and they'll pay a lot of money to stay there.
You're probably right. It's probably not a bad niche if you're set up. You've got the right soundproofing in place.
Yeah.
Talking of like, it's not party, but it's James, I had him on the show a few months ago. Did I tell you about his essay?
Which James?
James Yule.
Oh, no, what about it?
So, I have heard, I wasn't on the podcast at the time, but I have heard about this essay.
So he was watching a show, like a sex documentary on Channel 4.
Of course
and there was this sort of Airbnb service accommodation business where they're renting out sex rooms, which are like soundproofed and got.
I think that's a great idea.
I feel like Patricia's just
beds
like
with
about
like
James. She didn't
handcuffs
know.
on and he says he charges like 3 times the amount of a normal room. He's got I think he's got like a block, and then he's got one of the rooms is in a basement. This room, and he soundproofed it and everything. Yeah. And people pay like 3 times as much to stay in that room as they would in the others. So I suppose it's not the same, but it's a similar kind of idea, isn't it? Finding a niche.
Yeah, within SA. Like
a need that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I'm going to call James after this and get a little bit more information.
I thought you were going to say I'm going to call him and book his room.
See where he's on Airbnb, what location?
In Tokyo, they had love hotels. So it's like kind of like what you're talking about, what James is doing. So it's kind of like, this soundproof little room that you can just book by the hour. And instead of like a weird, seedy name, they're called love hotels.
That's interesting. You can book by the hour.
Yeah.
Because I suppose, some people might want it like during the day for an hour or so, rather than having to book a whole night. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because let's face
Premium.
it, men say about the whole night, but... Can you book it for 5 minutes?
Where this conversation was going to go.
Oh my God.
Wow, okay. Well, I didn't expect the topic of conversation to go this way.
Hey, don't blame me. Blame James. James.
And his essays.
So
funny.
So maybe go niche. I don't know. I think for me, it's great. It works well. I think for me, personally would still stay away from party houses just because of the extra hassle. And I suppose unless you were set up for it.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to cause probably more issues with neighbours, more issues with parking, more issues with damaging your property.
Cleaners. You have to get the cleaning team that's okay with cleaning vomit.
Okay.
Some are not.
Yeah.
So you'd have to pay them a little bit more, or bonus if there's vomit. The vomit bonus.
The vomit bonus.
Right?
Wow.
So the house that's getting shut down, we allowed dogs. And we had an amazing cleaning team, but, if the dog was there, then it would be more a mess. So I ended up giving them a dog bonus. So instead of them being like, oh, there was a dog here, they'd be like, yes, there was a dog here, because they'd get paid £20 more if there was a dog, right? Because I got a premium, and so why wasn't I handing that over to the cleaner, right? So, it's just about incentivizing your team and making sure that they're on board and that they're not going to I'm
really
done.
Good idea, isn't it? Because then they're actually oh, I can't believe this.
Maybe we've played it too safe. We've never allowed dogs.
Yeah,
We've
what
never
do you
allowed
think of pets?
parties.
Just
You
'cause
guys have a dog.
I know. It's not that I don't love dogs.
Do you know we're the ultimate hypocrites though? Because when we stay there,
We
take
want
our
dogs
dog.
Yeah, we literally go to our own.
But
one.
we know that our dog, we know that he's not going to make any mess. He's not going to climb on the furniture.
Yeah.
He's not. Whereas
Right. So the key to that is you have to manage your guests' expectations. So you have your house rules. And in my property, I had like a whole wall of rules. Like there were all these really pretty frame things, hot tub, the cinema room, pets, the recycling and rubbish, like when that schedule was and all of that kind of stuff. And checking out, turn off the appliances, put in the last dishes in the the dishwasher, and empty the fridge, right? Because sometimes they'll just leave all of their. So with the dogs, I would say the dog rules were that they were welcome. The guests would pay £60 per dog for the weekend, and the backyard was enclosed, so it was dog friendly backyard, and that they were not allowed on the furniture. So no beds, no furniture, right? So the dogs had to stay. And I had little dog toys and dog bowls. And if the dogs were on the beds, like if there was, paw prints everywhere, then my cleaner would take a picture and I'd send it and I'd say, that's against the house rules, right? Yeah. And as a dog owner, you're like, because you really want that house that allows dogs. Yeah. So I just say, that's an extra £40. And they gladly just pay that for replacing the linens, right? Or the extra time for the cleaners. But if you, test it out, right? Maybe do the summertime dogs and hike up your price.
pick a couple, and then it's a £60 for the weekend. Is typically how much you charge
per dog.
Yeah, because I do think again, it's very hard to find somewhere when you go in. Does allow pets.
And what do you do with your pet? If you book something without a pet, you're paying £60 for somebody to watch it, right?
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah. With party houses, is it seasonal, or do you find that people party all year through and you're...
All year through. Wow. Because there's a celebration. It's always somebody's birthday. It's always somebody's, hen do or stag do or whatever you guys call those things. And it's there's always something to celebrate.
Which actually might give you a better, like when we were talking about the essays in like Brighton, it's very seasonal because it's like go for a holiday and you only holiday normally, you get some of the people, but most of the time in those months. But like you say, parties all year through. So actually,
there was just a party, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of, it's 20 minutes from Preston. It's not even in like a Manchester city centre. It's like out in the sticks, and there was a party there.
See, that's
right.
I actually brought Patricia on the show just to convince you that for us to get a party house.
Anna's like, we should get our own party house, and then when we're not partying, rent it out to our parties. It's what she does in places. It's like, I really like going to Sandbanks. We should get our own place in Sandbanks, and we can make money from it, renting it out to other people.
That's what I do. I just want houses everywhere and go, shall we just have a house there? And then
she's never suggested the sex room though.
Next level you are.
But yeah, so you both that you were renting out as party houses, you're not doing at the moment, but your plan is to go back into the party house game. If you were doing a party house right now, of everything that you know, with your experience being closed down with the council, your experience of problems with neighbours, etc., where would you buy it, and what sort of size house would you go for? What would you do?
You know what? So I was just thinking about this. And so we've got, 1,500 Academy members who I'm talking to daily, all day long. They're amazing. By the way, love the Academy. You guys are doing an amazing job. And everybody in the Academy loves being in the Academy. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm thinking Blackpool, right? I mean, it's like, it's kind of a known party place.
Yeah.
It's the prices are low.
Yeah.
There's Academy members already like picking up hotels. And so I think that if I got like this big old Victorian place, the town is used to parties.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get a lot of, pitchforks outside.
No, because like, if anything, it'd be raising the standard, right? Blackpool.
Yeah.
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 And then just kind of like have that as a long game and market it to be like, come here for the weekend with your friends and, have your parties, have your celebrations, and then, have beautiful, it's all about the listing, right?
Yeah.
The pictures, the description, all of the SEO words that you need to put in, and then the reviews. And I think that would do really good. And I think the return would be strong.
Yeah.
It just needs to be really, you got to watch it like a hawk, right? You have to watch the pricing. You have to have really great customer service. Your property just needs to be better than the others in that area.
Yeah.
And as long as it is, then you can charge more, right?
Yeah.
Because it justifies that because of the experience. You want to give a great experience.
I wonder.
Blackpool, that's a great.
Blackpool's not a bad shout.
No.
I wonder, like, if you Googled it, I wonder if there's like certain cities that are much more likely to host a stag do or a hen do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder where
people go.
because that's kind of what you want to know, isn't it? That's kind of your market research. It's like, where are people? I like the idea. The good thing about Blackpool is it's so damn cheap, isn't it?
It's so cheap. And people can get to it and people know it, right?
Yes, everyone's heard of Blackpool, haven't they?
It's nice to drive out of the city for a few hours and hit the road and, anticipate a weekend of just, having fun, debauchery, right?
And that's the thing, everyone thinks of Blackpool as just having fun. Because you've got the theme park, you've got the water world, you've got the clubs, you've got the beach. You literally
isn't there aquarium or something?
Yeah,
I don't even know. There's loads of touristy things.
All-time favourite. You are number 2. Blackpool is number 2 on the list.
Oh,
There you go.
there we go.
Yes.
Blackpool,
Yes.
let's go. Let's invest.
Oh, I love that. Newcastle.
I was just thinking because we went there for the
We
hen do
did.
for Leah, and I thought, I wonder if that's a place to.
And that's known for ultimate partying, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know
Newcastle,
that.
Yes, that's
Okay.
why we went there because it's known as literally their wild nights out.
Wow.
So again, they wouldn't care about having people partying. In Newcastle, they party every day of the week. If you go out on a Monday night, you wouldn't know it wasn't a Saturday night. Like it's just every night's the same. There's no stopping them in Newcastle.
I like this list. So it's got a couple of different. So if you like the seaside, Brighton and Newquay.
Yeah.
If you want a budget, Cardiff.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you want somewhere a bit different, York is a cool city.
Oh, it's
I like
beautiful.
York.
I don't know if I'd put
Or
York
Bath.
for. Is this for partying? I wouldn't particularly
This
think
is for hen do's and
York
stag do's.
and Bath. Oh,
If
wow.
you want something cultural, Edinburgh. Who wants something cultural for a stag do? So do you know what? I want
Older women.
for my stag do. I'm gonna want something a bit cultural. Is what I want. It doesn't happen. Or London, and then the all-time favourites are Newcastle and Blackpool.
Oh, wow.
Wow, look at that.
I think you're onto a winner there.
Yeah.
Onto-
Yeah.
So you've given away your business plan now. So
Now
everyone,
Sully's gonna be-
We
everyone
have to
listens
edit this out.
Yeah. Hi. When she says it, just bleep it.
Yeah, it's going to be. Blackpool is borderline a swear word anyway.
Yeah.
I remember because the first time I heard Blackpool, I was still in Canada, and that's when Samuel did the first Financial Freedom Challenge with the videographer.
It was in Blackpool.
Was it?
With
It
Glenn.
was, right?
Glenn.
Glenn.
Yes.
And Samuel's like, what? And I didn't know any. The only places I knew were like Liverpool, Manchester, and London. I didn't even know about Birmingham. And so, and then I'm like, what could possibly be so wrong? But that was 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you can look at these council websites, look at the council websites because they give you all the information of what their budget is going to invest in terms of like redevelopment of Seaside, right?
Yeah.
Are they doing up Blackpool?
I don't know. I have to check the website.
She's going to go right home
I'm sure
to
they
check the
are.
website.
I'm sure they are, right? So it looks like it needs a really good redevelopment.
Yeah.
And
Because I like Liverpool. At
yeah,
the moment.
I like
I went
Liverpool
to a
too.
stag do in Liverpool,
You did.
and
Oh no, it was heavy last year. Stag and hen parties. We actually went to quite a few.
but Liverpool's cheap. Not as cheap as Blackpool, but
Yeah.
Liverpool's quite cheap
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
What's that place? Boodle? So
Bootle, yeah.
Bootle. So a few years ago, I was told no to Bootle. But that was a few years ago. What are your thoughts now?
I don't know Liverpool super well, so I wouldn't. Bootle is famously a bit of a poorer area, shall we say?
Dangerous?
I mean, everywhere could be dangerous. Do you know what I mean? But probably, yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely not a
Yeah.
nice part of Liverpool, which is saying something.
Because it's so close to the city centre that I'm like, well, then that's the next to get developed, isn't it? The next to invest in?
Maybe.
They are
Maybe it's-
doing massive developments.
That's what I often
in
think
Liverpool.
about London, though, right? There's places in London where I'm thinking East London in particular, where it was like a real, or South London, where it's been a real cheap, horrible area. But the people that bought there are laughing because then they've redeveloped it, done it up, and now you've got a house in a great area that was. So if you can identify those areas, they did it in Birmingham, Digbuff was horrible. The Jewellery Quarter, horrible. And then they've renovated it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a quirky, vibey, arty, culture,
Hipster.
area.
It's a lot of the young people now go, doesn't it? There, it's like come alive.
So
and that's the place to be.
maybe that's the place. But I don't know. I'm guessing
But
here.
you can invest and hold too,
You go
right?
and have a go.
Yeah, get a party house there.
No.
And when the council close it down, we can come on and talk about it.
I feel like the council will be a little bit more flexible in Bootle.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, probably.
That'd be lovely there.
Are you stabbing people? Nah, you sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Patricia, thanks ever so much for
Yes,
coming on the
thank you.
show.
Oh, thank you. I love that. That was so much fun.
An absolute pleasure. And guys, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found that some useful tips there about party houses, and also bearing in mind the councils can shut you down. It's crazy they've got the power to do that. But I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Anna Leeds.
This has been Patricia Kilty, and we'll see you next week.